Great. This is really good. I'm sure that all of us are really going to understand the value of patience, the value of waiting, and also to accept that we don't know everything. And unless we learn something properly, we cannot do justice to that subject. In the case of wildlife photography, we obviously do not know the behavior patterns of a particular species. And unless we know that and understand that and follow that with patience, we will not be able to get the photographs which will be representing the way they are. So, having understood the importance of first interest, secondly observation, third patience, fourth a curiosity to learn more and to follow that curiosity by gaining more knowledge, and then understanding which is that moment which we want to get through our cameras, and waiting for that moment to happen, anticipating, being in anticipation of that moment. And as Gopinath told us, when he got that moment after 4 long months of following and understanding and trying to understand how to go about it, what a joy! What a joy when you're able to get the photograph that you've been wanting to get for a long, long time. Even in Sanjay's case, like he said, for so many years the lizard was elusive and he couldn't really get it. But by gaining knowledge, by reading about it, and by observing them, he found the right moment for him to pull the trigger. For doing wildlife photography, what kind of equipment is needed? Is there any special requirement? Let's find out from Gopinath and Sanjay.
Given the development of technology, today there is an endless list of equipment that you could buy. Many are very good, many are very specialized, but then as a beginner, you don't need to have all these expensive equipment. You could easily start with what you have. Quite often when you buy a camera, it comes with a kit lens, which would be like say 18 to 55 or 18 to 135, which is pretty good. And if you're interested in birds and things like that, you could add on a consumer grade telephoto lens or a telephoto zoom, say for example 70 to 300. And if you're really interested in macro, well, there are specialized macro lenses, but you really don't have to at the moment buy a specialized macro lens. So let us start with what we have. So what can you do with your kit lens and a basic 70 to 300 lens? With a kit lens, you could do landscape. You can take a portrait of large mammals, close enough. And with a 70 to 300 mm telephoto lens, you could even shoot birds. And if you add on a couple of, either if you reverse the kit lens or if you add a macro kit which is easily available, which is affordable, then you are also into the domain of macro photography. So at the beginning, let's not get worried about that you don't have the equipment. With whatever you have, you could take whatever pictures you want.
Yeah, I definitely agree, because as you mentioned that the list of equipment is endless, and as you look into it, you'll see that the level of or the grade of equipment keeps getting better and better, but alongside it the prices also keep increasing. So there's obviously not just a restraint on the requirement, but also a restraint on the budget that one will soon feel when you keep progressing or keep planning to buy a new lens. So it's very important that you not only get used to what you have, but also make the best out of it, because every lens has a capacity that you can use it to the maximum, and you can get very good results. You don't have to buy the best equipment. It's the photographer that matters more than just the equipment.
Absolutely. Yes.
So it's your control over your equipment. If you're well versed with your equipment, it doesn't matter if you don't have a high-end one. As you mentioned that there are macro kits. Now I myself use a macro extension tube in front of a 50 mm lens, which most of you, if you are into taking portrait photographs or take street photographs, you might have a 50 mm already. And all I did is just put extension tubes in front of it. And now I've got a brilliant macro lens with which I've taken, if not all, most of my macro pictures. And for the bird photographs, I just stick to a 300. I've never used anything beyond 300 mm for bird photography. I've used my knowledge and my skills as a naturalist to approach an animal rather than buy something that's very expensive. And also you can just simply use hides or conceal yourself in the nature to let the birds come to you rather than you going to the birds.
Absolutely. If you look at all the best photographers, best wildlife photographers in the world, they have all the money to buy the most expensive, the best of equipment. But there is no lens that would capture everything which is say 5 or 6 kilometers away. All these best photographers, what they do is they understand the species, they study the species so well, and then they position themselves in such a place where the animal comes to them. That is how the best photographs are always made. So as Sanjay said, set up a hide, stay within that. You don't need a 500 mm. You could still do that with a 300 mm. Or I would say, I've heard anecdotes from many of my professional photographer friends that when they sat with their 200 mm lens to photograph a bird, the bird came so close because they hid themselves so well that even that 200 mm lens was too long for it. They could not focus anymore because it was well within the shortest focusing length distance. So as I said earlier in this conversation, that being a naturalist is more important. When you are a good naturalist, you know how to get close to the animal, and that's what matters the most. Then of course the equipment matters, but today given the technology, it has become more and more affordable, and even a normal, what you call a consumer grade camera makes as good as, those images are comparable with professional cameras. So as I said, please remember, first become a naturalist, then you will automatically become a wildlife photographer.
Yes, because even if you own a big lens like a 600 mm rather than a 300 mm, you are not in control. Nature is in control of the situation. So exactly. Even if you have the best equipment, you might very well miss the shot, as similar chances that if you have the equipment that you start with. So the chances applied are the same. So you shouldn't focus on the equipment. You should just remember that what you have to be a master of it. You have to learn every aspect of that camera, of that lens, and everything else that comes with it.
Also what matters is, as you progress along in this medium of wildlife photography, you will develop your own interest within the domain. So depending on that domain, you will then downsize your equipment. You will acquire only the equipment that is needed for your style of photography or the species that you are going to concentrate on. And also, depending on the kind of work you do, sometimes these large lenses actually become more of a burden rather than a help. Say for example, in my case, I worked with a lot of wildlife biologists. So these are people who are in the field, who walk tens of kilometers in the forest every day. And lugging a huge lens doesn't make any practical sense. Not only that, if you are thinking of a large lens, then you need a larger tripod, a large, heavy, stable tripod. And to carry them, you might at times need porters or somebody to help you, which may not be the case, which may not be always possible because many research projects are running on shoestring budgets. So unless you are on a weekend trip where you have your own 4x4 where you can dedicate a space for it, put your tripod and move around and shoot, these large lenses are sometimes a handicap rather than a help. So in my case, I always carried a kit lens, as you say. I kept a wide angle lens and I kept a 300 mm block lens. That is all I took for all my photography work in all these years. I never even thought of buying a 500 mm. It was not needed for me, because when I shot photographs of birds, I would rather sit in one place. Of course, you'll have to do some recce about that area. You'll have to know the area, where birds come, what is their feeding time, what kind of birds are there. So depending on all that thing, you choose a nice little place and sit there. I've sat there for entire half a day, and then just only took pictures of the birds that came to me. So, patience and perseverance will get you the right shot always. Equipment is needed, but it's not everything. Equipment, I would say it is secondary, but the most important thing is to know your subject. You work on that, you will come up with beautiful photographs that will communicate, because a good photograph is something that speaks to you. When it speaks to you, it also speaks to others.
Really well said. A great photograph will happen and it will come to you when you're ready for it. So being in that state of mind of being ready and being open and then being able to act on it when the moment is right is what will make a good photograph. Here, when we are on the subject of equipment, I would also like to ask Gopinath and Sanjay that is it necessary to have other accessories such as an electronic flash or any other such devices to take photographs in the wild?
Certainly it helps, but as a rule, I don't use flash in wildlife photography. Well, there are several schools about it, there are several debates, people are divided about it. But it is my decision to not to use flash. But even for me, there are situations where I have to use. Say for example, if I'm taking a bird, if I'm taking a mammal, some people would advise using, especially if the species is positioned in such a way there is a lot of light behind the subject, so you need to fill in. Well, there are situations when you cannot avoid, but I personally would decide to not take that photograph rather than throwing a flash on it. But that's my personal decision. At the same time, but there are certain species, especially when you do macro photography, or when I worked with a herpetologist who worked on frogs, we would quite often venture into the forest in the night. There you need some source of light. Without that, you're not going to get your photograph. So in that case, we would use a flash, or sometimes we will use LED lights that will throw sufficient light to take your photograph. So one will have to take their own call. One will have to think about it and make your own decision. Only thing I would request is people should be a little more sensitive about using these artificial lights, because just imagine if somebody flashed lights on you, you may get annoyed. It's the same thing for an animal also. In some cases it could turn a little dangerous also. So be a lot more careful, be considerate. So that is where, when you're observant and when you learn your subjects, you'll automatically know when to use and when not to use. There are no hard and fast rules about you should use or you shouldn't use. It is your personal decision, but you can you can make your own decision when you are sensitive about your surroundings, the subject you're working with.
So I definitely agree with that, and leaving aside your camera and lens, I think the only other equipment that would be required is a tripod, because often, as we talked about patience being a big virtue in wildlife photography, if you're waiting in a hide, you might want to just set your camera down on a tripod, as it's always ready and facing the subject or the arena where the subject will come. So the tripod and your camera and lens are probably what is something you would want to start with. And for me personally, I have gotten through at least 7 if not 8 years of wildlife photography with only my camera and lens. I have not had to use an external flash, which means accessory that is attached to the camera. I have used the camera's flash, as in you mentioned the case of macro photography, or sometimes at night when I'm taking. But I make sure, again, sensitivity comes in because I am knowledgeable about these things, and so I'm sensitive in reducing the flash level as low as I can, and yeah, so things like that. But the requirement of accessories have been to a minimum for me as well, and I strongly encourage anyone to just focus on learning about the subject, so you can depend more on your knowledge and your patience and other virtues rather than accessories and bigger lenses and equipments and etc.
I would totally agree with Sanjay, because especially one accessory, a must-have accessory is a tripod. Invest in a good tripod, because irrespective of any situation, whether you are shooting landscape, large mammals, small mammals, birds, especially if you are sitting in a hide, you cannot be always holding your camera in your hand. And some people may say that they have quite a steady hand, but then invest in a good tripod, set up your cameras on that, your hands are free, you are more relaxed, you are more you can spend the time observing the animal. I think if I have to say one must have accessory, it would be a tripod. Don't discount it. I mean, it is one of the most important accessory to have if you are into wildlife photography.
Yeah,
so
sorry, but just lastly, is just a proper, even a camera bag to carry your equipment. Just as a side note, because
yes,
yeah,
that is
take
another.
Care of your equipment as well. So.
That is a valid point again, because when you're doing wildlife photography or out in the open, nothing is under control. It could suddenly rain, or it could be a very dusty situation. So to keep your equipment safe, a good camera bag is another important accessory, I would say. So maybe in the initial stages, invest in a good tripod, a good system to carry your equipment safely. And then as you progress, you can add on, and depending upon your budget, availability of money, that you could go on adding on your favorite equipment.